Picture a continuous, high-velocity artery of raw materials and finished goods flowing along the rivers of 10th century China. The Northern Song Empire oversaw a commercial apparatus of staggering physical scale, moving thousands of tons of grain, timber, and metal every day. Surviving as an empire requires translating that immense commercial motion into usable state power. The state must extract revenue efficiently, or the dynasty collapses under the weight of its own military and administrative costs. Historically, Chinese dynasties handled this extraction through a standard Ministry of Revenue, known as the Hubu. This single office was buried deep inside the broader imperial secretariat, treating finance as just one of many general administrative tasks. In 960, the founder of the Northern Song made a radical choice. He eliminated the household revenue section from the imperial secretariat entirely, stripping generalist politicians of their direct control over the empire's ledger. This diagram shows the system that replaced it. He divided the workload into three highly specialized interconnected units known as the Sansi, or the three financial bureaus. By tearing down the traditional Ministry of Revenue, the Song court signaled a pivot towards specialized state accountancy. The government built a dedicated machine designed for aggressive, granular intervention in the national economy. To manage this new tripartite machine, the emperor established a supreme executive position, the State Finance Commissioner, or Sanshishi. This captures the archetype of the high-ranking Song official. The finance commissioner was drawn from this elite class, commanding the state's entirely independent economic wing. The prestige of the office earned the commissioner the unofficial title of accountant counselor. Consequently, the entire department gained the nickname Jisheng, or the accountancy department. Below the supreme commissioner, the chain of command fractured into strict specializations. Each of the three distinct bureaus required its own dedicated commissioner and vice commissioner to manage the day-to-day operations. This layered leadership structure deliberately walled off the empire's economic experts. By removing them from the imperial secretariat, the state insulated financial strategy from general political and military administration. This diagram maps the architecture of the new department, starting with its first pillar, the Salt and Iron Monopoly Bureau. Its primary mandate was the absolute control of industries the state perceived as critical public works. To extract maximum wealth, the Bureau operated massive monopolies. It maintained dedicated sections specifically to control the production and distribution of tea and iron. Because iron dictates military strength, it housed an armament section and a military section. The Bureau rounded out its absolute industrial oversight with three remaining subsections, one for market taxes, one for capital supply, and special preparations. The Salt and Iron Bureau operated as a state-run industrial and military supply conglomerate. It dictated the physical production of the empire, from weapons of war to the distribution of basic commodities. The second pillar in this framework is the Tax Bureau. This unit served a dual mandate. It acted as the master ledger for overall state revenue and expenditure, while simultaneously controlling the physical transport and distribution of tribute grain. It also executed advanced market control through a price stabilization fund, buying surplus grain during good harvests and selling cheaply during famines. To manage the physical currency and material compensation of the state, the Bureau operated a specialized coins and silk section. These cast copper Song Dynasty coins represent the exact physical economy managed by this unit. The state required strict oversight of the billions of coins minted annually to maintain a stable money supply. This painting reflects the massive physical logistics network required to defend the empire. The Tax Bureau maintained a specific horses section to track, acquire, and fund the cavalry assets essential for the military. The remaining sections managed gifts and presentations, grain supplies, state grain, and salaries for officials. Abstract ledger wealth is useless if it cannot be moved. The Tax Bureau acted as the empire's logistical heartbeat, translating paper figures into moving fleets of grain, vital cavalry mounts, and paid administrators. The third and final pillar mapping the department is the Census Bureau. Its bedrock function was household registration. By maintaining exact population data, the Bureau could organize the summer tax section and prefectural remittances, alongside corvée labor, the system of unpaid, mandatory work extracted from citizens. With labor and demographics mapped, the Bureau managed physical state assets through a palace construction section and a clothing and ration section. Finally, it squeezed additional value by enforcing niche monopolies, primarily managing the production of alcoholic beverages through its dedicated yeast section. The Song government understood that granular demographic data was the ultimate prerequisite for extracting physical labor and targeted monopoly revenues from millions of citizens. This completed organizational chart reveals a 20-section accountancy department running with industrial precision. However, the bureaucratic architecture faced a harsh political reality. Above the Sansi sat the two bureaus, the Bureau of Military Affairs and the Palace Secretariat. Despite controlling the empire's lifeblood, the Sansi held a strictly lower hierarchical position beneath these supreme political organs. As this painting illustrates, seated at the absolute top of the hierarchy, dictating orders that flowed down to the financial bureaus, is the emperor. This structure created the core paradox of Song statecraft. The financial bureaus had absolute visibility over the economic data, yet possessed zero ultimate policymaking supremacy. They were simply the engine, driven entirely by higher political masters. This delicate balance of power shattered in 1069, driven by the sweeping political interventions of Counselor-in-Chief Wang Anshi. To bypass existing bureaucratic friction, Wang Anshi created a new weapon, the Finance Planning Commission, positioned squarely under the Palace Secretariat. This new commission completely enveloped and overrode the autonomy of the three financial bureaus, bringing specialized experts back under the thumb of generalist politicians. Following this period of reform, the final demotion occurred. The entire Sansi structure was formally subordinated back into the revenue section of the Imperial Secretariat, entirely erasing the Northern Song founders' original vision. The centralized autonomous financial power of the bureaus had grown so vast and highly specialized that the political elite deemed it a threat, forcing its reabsorption into the traditional hierarchy. 3 centuries later, with the foundation of the Ming dynasty in 1368, the central Sansi organization was finally and formally abolished. The Ming rulers resurrected the traditional singular Ministry of Revenue to handle the state's financial administration. The term Sansi survived, but underwent an extreme semantic shift. The Ming recycled the title to refer to 3 institutions strictly on the provincial level: the Regional Military Commission, the Provincial Administration Commission, and the Provincial Surveillance Commission. This was just the latest definition for a term that had constantly evolved. During the Han period, it meant top imperial dignitaries. During the Tang, it referred to the censorate and secretariats. But the Song iteration stands apart. The 3 financial bureaus managed the complexity of an empire increasingly reliant on hyper-specialized economic throughput. The Song Sansi integrated 20 specialized subsections into a single financial engine. This structure allowed the central government to track specific commodities and demographics with a level of detail that the later Ming dynasty would eventually trade for the simplicity of a single ministry.